Flowers are overrated. I will be getting married in 7 short weeks, and throughout the entire planning process, I've come to feel like flowers are a huge waste of money. Sure, centerpieces are pretty, but what's the point of them? They'll more than likely end up in the trash at the end of the night. Having good food and great company is all I think I'll need to remember, not lilies and clear crystal vases. Not lilies and clear crystal vases.
What are your thoughts on this?
I have a split opinion. As someone who would plan a wedding, I feel like there are other things you can use as centerpieces, like lanterns or objects you can get at a thrift store or a home goods store. They're going to be cheaper than flowers. As a wedding vendor who appreciates, I feel like Oscar from The Office. As someone who loves elegant weddings, I think flowers are amazing. Nothing quite beats living flowers in appearance. Nothing quite gets there.
There's something about every wedding venue ever, unless you're getting married in a really like lavish garden or a lush, which will have flowers, or a lush greenhouse that has plants in it. Like, there's something about a cold, sterile environment that flowers can soften.
Yeah.
Like that a lantern or just candles in vases can't really do. There's something that flowers can add to the environment. And in that sense, if you have the budget for them, 100%, they're going to be worth it because photographically, they're going to be great.
Yes.
Like, even like little bud vases. Like, I love the little bud vase thing where like somebody has like 20 tiny little vases on a really long table and they just throw like a stem in each one. I love that. However, flowers are expensive. From a couple who has gotten married, from people who have...
Did we have flowers on our tables? Did we have anything?
We did.
Oh, yeah, we did. We paid. Okay, I remember.
My Aunt Jen did our flowers. Shout out to Aunt Jen. She did our flowers, and I remember she told me the cost of them, which it was like $200 for our flowers. And I was like, that's so much money for flowers. Girl, you can get like a bridal bouquet maybe in $200, maybe. We
also didn't have real flowers.
For my bouquet. But for the centerpieces and stuff, those were real.
They were?
Mm-hmm. And my bridesmaids bouquets were real.
How did that cost $200?
It was baby's breath and eucalyptus.
Okay.
It was like the cheapest that you can get, in my opinion.
See, all I remember is you and the ferns and then talking to people. I don't remember the decorations.
We also...
Our wedding was at the end of the summer, so we grew a lot of our plants ourselves, like ferns and...
Well, we didn't grow the ferns. We bought the ferns, but we grew...
But they got big.
But we got we grew the, like, other plants that we had.
Yeah.
So we did a little bit of, like, a DIY there because we know that the flowers are important. We were getting married in a location that was a little bit sterile.
Yeah,
it needed a little bit of help.
It was a conference hall, so
we needed some flowers.
It needed help.
So we knew the importance and we did what we could within our budget. Which I would argue, if you're going to be out here complaining about flower prices and you're getting quotes from vendors, figure out how to do it yourself. Yeah. And then tell me that it's not important, because it is. There are ways you could do it yourself. And maybe we could do a whole podcast on that, how we grew our own flowers for our wedding. But I think flowers can be priced like they're expensive, but you know what? Like, there's a reason they're expensive. And if you have the budget for them, they can make all the difference in the world. But flowers are probably some of the more frequently cut items that we see at weddings. And if you're
throwing a wedding where you don't care what it looks like, maybe flowers are the first thing to go. But if you care about the general vibe of the wedding, then at least some kind of greenery or plant or something is kind of important to have.
And if you can't budget for flowers, if you're just like, I just like reasonably can't do a lot with that, just like take that into consideration when you're picking your venue. And maybe your venue has really, really beautiful landscaping you could use, or their ceremony space is outside and it's like a big tree and it's just like gorgeous and lush. Like maybe there are ways.
Like a backyard garden wedding, like with like a small backyard garden wedding, then maybe you wouldn't need as many flowers because it's out in the garden. Like there are ways to do without buying a whole bunch of flowers, but for most venues, some kind of greenery in the space is important.
Yeah. And I think this person also says that they are likely in the trash at the end of the night, and you can make sure that they're not. We've seen people like...
We've been given bouquets before.
But we've seen people who have talked about taking their centerpieces to an assisted living home the next day, or they've given them to the people who have helped make the wedding happen, like their vendors or their family members. So like there are ways you can dispose of them without throwing them in the trash and truly just like giving them to somebody that can appreciate them.
Also, what makes I get the vibe that this was written by a guy, because that's the most basic objection to buying a woman flowers is they're going to get thrown away in a week.
This was a man.
Being guilty of having said something like that before. It's like, I'd rather go out to dinner I'd rather take you out to dinner than buy flowers. But the truth of the matter is that flowers are an extra luxury that are just nice to have.
They are.
And sometimes that's worth the money.
Yep. And if you can't afford them, it's fine.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
We've seen
there are
we've
ways
seen
around
plenty
it.
of good weddings that have been short on flowers, and it's fine. It's beautiful.
Yeah.